Hello everyone and welcome to this program, Conversations for Success, Virtual Chats with Student Affairs. Join the conversation Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Today's conversation is about peer mentoring programs here at the university with Katie and Zach from Student Life. Before we get started, here's some housekeeping items to go over. As you heard from the prompt, these conversations are being recorded. As such, all participants will have their video and audio muted. However, presenters and hosts will not. This is because we've given the university permission to share our audio and video. Since you're all muted, please use the chat to connect with those presenting. We'll do our best to monitor the chat and raise questions to the panelists and the host and get your questions answered live. And lastly, remember this is a respectful environment, even in the chat. So if we notice that you have changed your name to something disrespectful, or if you say anything disrespectful in the chat, you will be removed. And the way the settings are set up, you will not be able to join this. You'll have to find the recording later. On that note, thank you all again for joining us. I will now hand it over to Katie and Zach for introductions and to get the conversation started. Thank you.
Okay, so hi everyone. I just want to say thank you for coming to our Conversations for Success, and it's related to peer mentoring programs. And it's going to be offered, like Zach mentioned, by Student Life, which is where myself and Katie both work. We are coordinators in that office, and I want to talk to you a little bit about who we are. So Student Life, what we do is we help students get involved on campus by offering different volunteer experiences as well as opportunities to develop your skills, and that can be used both professionally as well or in your personal life. We also help students build community on campus by connecting them, for example, to students groups, clubs, or other programs on campus that are recognized by the co-curricular record. What we're going to be taught, you might also see somebody else from our office today, sorry, who is Chloé. She's a program assistant for the new student peer mentoring program, which is what we run here in Student Life. So what we're talking about today, though, is what is mentoring, the benefits of peer mentoring. We're going to also have a panel discussion with previous participants who have taken part in a peer mentoring program, as well as discuss mentoring opportunities at the University of Manitoba. And now I'll pass it to Katie to discuss what is mentoring.
Thanks so much, Zach. So just before we get started, I just wanted to share a definition with everyone about what mentoring is or how we view mentoring. So we see mentoring as a relationship which has mutual benefits for all parties involved and is generally used to help a less experienced person achieve their goals by receiving assistance and guidance from a more experienced person. And one of the key things that we see in our office with mentoring is that we view this relationship as mutually beneficial. So both people are supporting one another and learning and growing together. It's based on the history, experiences, and knowledge of both individuals in that relationship. And it's facilitated by asking thoughtful questions and providing feedback based on personal experiences.
Okay, and then I will be discussing the benefits of peer mentoring. So when discussing the benefits, we're referring to our program, which is the new student peer mentoring program. But a lot of these benefits are similar among other mentoring programs as well. So we broke it down into the benefits for new students, so those being mentored, as well as peer mentors or peer helpers. So when we talk about the benefits for new students, you receive advice and guidance from students that have had experience in the university. You learn about resources and supports on campus that you may not known about. You have access to peers that will actively listen to and want to hear from you, as well as develop a sense of connection and community to the University of Manitoba. What the peer mentors or peer helpers gain is they're able to give back to the community by supporting someone as they transition to the new environment, which is the university community. They also make great connections on campus and with their peers through our program specifically, and they get to learn and practice transferable skills that can be used, for example, in the workplace. So in mentioning some of those skills, we wanted to actually recognize which ones they were. So the transferable skills that we're talking about are self-management, leadership, planning and organizing, teamwork, critical thinking and decision-making, as well as communication, which can be both verbal and nonverbal communication, and intercultural competence.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zach. Now that we've given everyone a brief background on what peer mentoring is, we have invited a few people today, Chloé, Anjali, and Prabhleen. I'm going to let them introduce themselves in more detail, but they are joining us for a panel discussion on their experiences in peer mentoring programs. So to get us started, I will just ask you all to tell us a bit about yourself and your experience in peer mentoring programs. Prabhleen, are you there? Oh, you can't unmute yourself. Okay.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Prabhleen. I use the pronouns she and her. I was a peer mentor in the new student peer mentoring program offered by the Student Life Office for the years 2019 and 2020. I was paired with Anjali, who is also here, and she's going to introduce herself next.
There we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Anjali, and as Prabhleen said, I was paired up with her in 2019 and 2020. It was my first year, and I was a new student at U of M, and I use she and her pronouns.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chloé. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a student staff member with the Student Life Office. I work really closely with the new student mentoring program, and in my first year, which was 2018 to 2019, I was a new student in the Leitch program, which is it's run out of the Indigenous Student Center.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So next I would like to ask you, why did you decide to join a peer mentoring program?
So since I already told you guys, it was my first year, and going from high school right into university can be really difficult, and it's a very big change, and I was really, really scared because high school is difficult, but then university is a whole new thing, and I really wanted to succeed academically and make my parents proud, so I was really scared academically, and I didn't know how I could do all of it and handle all of it. I didn't really have friends that were older than me that could help me out. All of my friends were in my grade, so I decided that if I joined the peer mentoring program and someone that's a couple years older than me could help me out and they've been through what I've been through, it would be very helpful for me. So that's why I decided to join the program.
So for me, I was just really intimidated as a first year, just because the campus is so big and it's really hard to familiarize yourself with it at first. And I knew it was super intense in terms of classes and stuff like that. And even aside from all of that, university just works very, very differently from high school. You have to be a lot more independent. But to be independent, you have to know and understand different systems in university and how they work and how to use them. And I don't think a lot of first years go into university knowing that. I certainly didn't. So that is probably one of the bigger reasons why I joined Leitch and just to have someone else on campus who I could look to and ask questions and get some advice from, but also because Leitch is of course an Indigenous program for Indigenous students. So I also kind of just like wanted to get to know other Indigenous students as well.
For me, I wanted to apply for being a mentor for a few reasons. So first of all, I like helping anyone I can to the best of my ability. Gives me inner happiness and joy, and that gives me the energy to keep moving forward. So I considered that the most important reason because it helps me to give back to the community. Secondly, this is probably true for most of the students, just like Anjali and Chloé mentioned, that the transition from from high school to university can be really hard. So, and I realized that it was for me as well. But now that I had more experience at the university, I wanted to use that and at least try helping a new student's transition, make it a little bit easier.
Thank you. Okay, so our next question is, what skills did you develop or use in your peer mentoring program?
So for me as a first year, I had like a lot of different and new responsibilities that I had to balance. So I was like, you know, working, taking a full-time course load and doing like a lot of volunteering. So I was just really involved with a lot of different things. And I didn't understand like how to balance that, or like what like wellness or balance was and why it's important. But in Nichi Walk-In, they really made sure their students like understood that in like the workshops. And I just like really learned how to approach and manage my like schedule and just like my life in terms of like balancing things and like just having that understanding, and it really helped me out. So yeah.
So for me, peer mentoring experience helped enhance my listening skills. More specifically, I'd like to say that I learned to be more empathetic. I learned that when someone's going through a tough situation, we should learn to share their feelings instead of just feeling sorry for them. Even if we don't have a perfect solution to their problem, it is important to let them know that we are there for them and that they're not alone. So basically, I understood how sympathy and empathy are very different from each other.
One skill that I used this year was definitely communication. I'm an extrovert, so I've never really had a difficult time communicating. So I feel like that's one skill that I definitely used. But one skill that I feel like I developed or like got better at this year was planning and organizing, because every month me and Prabhleen were supposed to meet twice per month, and me and her always wanted to like go somewhere new, see a new place in the campus because it's so big, right? And it was my first year, but Prabhleen had seen more stuff than I had, but at the same time, me and her had not seen everything because it is a big campus. So we would try to go to a new place every time we met up. And I feel like because of that, I definitely developed organizing and planning skills. And Prabhleen is a very nice person, and she would always ask me like where I want to go. So thanks for that.
It was great having you as a pair.
Oh, thank you. Same.
Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. And it's certainly nice to see, to have a real life pair with us to share your experiences together. So I have one more question for you. This one is, oops, I forgot to put through. What was the most valuable thing you learned from being in a peer mentoring program?
So the most important lesson I learned through this program, and also from my pair Anjali, was the importance of analyzing our mistakes to learn from them, and so that we do not ever repeat them in the future. So during our meetings, Anjali and I would talk about a recent problem we went through, whether it be by our own mistake or whether it was an unavoidable situation. We would talk about it and how it happened. We would talk about the different possibilities of how we could have avoided it and how we could have done things differently, etc. I think this was important. This is important so that we know that in future, if we're ever in a similar situation, we know what we might expect and how we could avoid it.
One thing that I learned was, so in the meetings that we had in the evenings, we did this workshop, which you basically analyze like something that you're very good at, something you're not that good at, and something that you're okay at. And something that I said I wasn't very good at was problem solving. And I didn't know how I would make that better, because that's something I've struggled with kind of my whole life. So I was just sitting there not knowing how to like make it better. So then Zach walked by and he's like, "Is everything all right?" And I was like, "I have a question. I always struggled with this. I don't know what I should do to, be better at problem solving." And Zach said to me like, "You could try to join a club at university. So, you would be presented with new problems and then you would have to solve them. And that way you could get better at it." And thank you, Zach, for that, because now I might be joining a club soon.
You're welcome.
So for me, I was lucky to be paired with a mentor who was well into her undergraduate degree. Like she was graduating the year I joined. So she had like a really, she'd encountered like a lot of like common problems that like she was really able to like give me advice on, because she had experienced them herself, and so she knew how to like help and like problem solve and things like that. So that was really great, and I got to learn about just different resources that I could use, because she was also an architecture student. I'm not in architecture, but it's just a very competitive program, and I think a lot of students in super intense programs like that know how to use like resources on campus to support themselves so that they can like really make the most out of their experience in university, and like excel as much as they can. So that was definitely really helpful for me.
Thank you. So before we let you all off the hook for talking, I just want to kind of open it up to you and see if there's anything else you'd like to add and anything that you didn't get to share during the questions.
So for me, like I said before, I wasn't paired with someone in in a field that I really ever intended on going into. And I think a lot of students, especially like students who apply to our program, kind of hope to be paired with someone in like a certain like area or program. But like I think it can be useful, but I don't know that it's like as valuable, because it, I guess, can be like an individual thing, but I still learned a lot of really important things, and I was really happy with how things turned out in my experience. And I really like wouldn't have ever wanted anyone else as a mentor, to be honest. So
I totally agree with Chloe. One thing that I definitely feel like happened to me this year was like it was definitely a difficult year for me, and there was always days when I didn't have like the best day ever, and I feel like I felt left out and lonely sometimes. But being in this program made me feel included in something, because like I said, it's a huge campus and everyone is kind of minding their own business, doing their own thing, you feel like alone sometimes. But, you know, being in this program made me feel not so alone.
Thank you, Anjali.
And I just want to say that I would consider this as one of my best experiences at the university. It was my very first time ever being a peer mentor. And like I said earlier, it was great having Anjali as my pair. I learned a lot and I'm very happy about that. And I also would like to thank you so much to all the student life staff for this amazing opportunity.
Thank you, Prabhleen. And I promise we didn't tell her to say that. Thank you. And thank you so much to the three of you for joining us. Obviously, you can hang out still to see if anyone has questions for you at the end. But it really means a lot to us that you were able to join us for this panel and to give a student experience. So now Zach and I would like to share a bit more about what mentoring programs actually exist at the U of M.
So when we look at mentoring programs at the University of Manitoba, we like to talk about them in 4 different categories. So the first one is new students with upper year mentors. So that could be programs such as ours, which is the new student peer mentoring program, which is for all students. There's also Nichi Walk-In, which is for Indigenous students, as Chloé has so greatly mentioned and talked about their program. There is also the Welcome Mentors, which is for international students. Then a second category is the students with alumni mentors. So that is through UM Cafe, which is 10,000 Coffees, or the Career Mentor Program, and those are offered through Career Services. There's also students mentoring youth. So that's through Can You Canada, as well as Land and Water through Community Engaged Learning. And then the last one we wanted to mention is other mentoring opportunities. So examples of these may be through Student Accessibility Services Mentor Program, which is drop-in peer mentoring, or also in specific departmental or faculty, there's mentoring programs as well. And they vary depending on faculty, and what the experience will be like. So yeah, those are the 4 categories we wanted to mention to you today.
Thanks, Zach. And then I just want to tell everyone a little bit more about our program in student life, which is the new student peer mentoring program. So in our program, we match new students who apply with upper years students. So they have a one-to-one connection throughout the entire year. We also offer first year programming, so content that's relevant to first year students to help them learn skills that they need for university. We also, for our peer mentors and peer helpers, have lots of training and professional development opportunities for them to engage with throughout the year. And so they receive adequate training to be working with new students and providing support in that way. And then we offer a number of social events and other ways to get involved and stay active with other people in the program. So we are currently accepting applications for our program. For peer mentors and peer helpers, the deadline to apply is August 4th. And then for new students who are interested in being paired with a mentor, we will do everything we can to pair you with a mentor. If you apply before August 28th, that's the best time to apply. And of course, if it's something after that, we would do our best to help out with supports after that date as well. And if you have any questions at all, you can also check our website. We have our position descriptions and program descriptions up on there, as well as our applications. So that's umanitoba.ca/mentorship. And we also will have time for questions at the end of this session. But if you want to email us questions, we're also available at peermentor@umanitoba.ca.